I'm just wondering, it's just like, how does Godzilla procreate? That's all I care about, and I'm tired of having. We've had almost 30 movies at this point, and just no sort of establishment on how that kind of thing works.
Then you watch the first American one, you idiot. He produces asexually.
Doesn't
That's the
count.
plot point.
That's
the plot point. Hello, everybody, and
Hey!
welcome to a new show on Red Lit Media. I mean, findthecomputeroom.com. It's a first episode of a new review show. We thought we'd call it Half in the Bag. I mean, we thought we'd call it Best of the Worst. I mean, we thought we'd call it Review. I mean, we're going to call it Same Great Taste.
Okay.
If you don't like the name, blame him.
Same great taste.
The first episode we thought we'd do for this is for the recently announced limited theatrical run of Toho's latest reboot of their most famous creation,
Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla. We just saw it. But you have to say that big fan of Godzilla as in my youth. We were both fans of the 2014 American Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Some people didn't like that. I did.
Yeah.
But this one, it's very Japanese.
It is very Japanese.
Which makes sense because it's a Japanese movie. It totally makes sense. They would do that. Peter, you were probably the bigger Godzilla fan of the two of us. You have,
which is weird because I've been a Godzilla fan like in the least amount of time.
But something I've noticed about you, TJ, you go big or you go home.
Yeah.
In terms of your franchises. What was your initial reaction? Because the trailer came out of nowhere.
Initial reaction. I knew that something was being produced.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't aware of how far along production was for that. Initial response, I thought the trailer was okay. I didn't like it as much as... I didn't like the trailer as much as I liked the teaser trailer for Godzilla 2014.
Well, the teaser trailer for Shin Godzilla was just like shaky cam of people running around, and then it cut to Japanese text, and you heard his roar.
Yeah,
and must have been very early, obviously just to get some buzz out. I didn't like it because one of my minor nitpicks with the film. I don't think the cinematography was great.
Oh, I loved the cinematography. I liked their intent.
I think there had been rumors that since the American 2014 Godzilla did so well, Toho were like, let's try another one type of thing. So I think we knew one was coming, but I didn't think we'd realize it'd be so radically different. Because especially when you see when at least that first image of the new Godzilla, and it's it's very different.
Oh yeah.
Very, very different.
It's not my favorite, but it's also not the worst redesign we've ever had.
No, one thing I don't like, it's not the eyes. Even watching it in the movie, the eyes are kind of weird.
They're just very lifeless. The idea behind that is pretty good. Where it's just he's just a mindless, monster.
True, but one thing I didn't like is that the American remake, obviously certain Japanese people don't like the American remake because they think it's too fat.
Consider too fat.
But he moves, he's very expressive, full range of his body. They in the new one, I think they kind of kept I've heard conflicting reports. It was either a guy in a suit and they enhanced it with CG, or they just replaced everything with CG.
That's what I think they did, because there's a lot of movement in there that I don't think they could have captured genuinely. Even if they were doing motion capture and then transferring it to full CG, there was a lot of movements with the sets that I couldn't see as being genuine mocap.
My thing though is that even and just slight, we're gonna go on complete spoiler territory here. So if you don't want to get spoiled, go away. Yes, but ultimately, I'd say both of us enjoyed it.
Yeah,
both of us enjoyed it. So if you want to end the video here, I would say we both recommend seeing it if you're a fan of Godzilla. If you're not a fan of Godzilla, or just giant monsters in general, you probably won't get much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But one of the things when he gets to his final form, is his hands and his face almost never actually move unless he's roaring.
Yeah,
that was one thing that I was just even the suits had more articulation and movement in the face area.
They did, yeah.
That's one thing that just I'm sure it was a stylistic choice, but I just wish I wasn't expecting like complete movement all the time. Part of me was just like it's very stiff. And I was just like
a little bit, yeah.
So the basic plot of the movie is it's a completely reboot, because a lot of the other ones, especially in the Millennial series, they would just they would be like a sequel to the original.
Yeah,
yeah, but this one is like the original never happened, so it's completely new. It's Godzilla's first time arriving on shore, and I liked it. It's told almost entirely from like the offices of the Prime Minister of Japan.
Yeah,
it's sort of about the politics of trying to get how to do it. Which I, after so many movies of having it be like scientists and the army, I kind of like that. It's a new
bureaucratic approach.
Which I thought that'd be boring. I was interested.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was a good take, but there's not really any characters except for the main guy. The main guy's kind of like he's like a hothead. He doesn't. He's not like a massive dick, but he's like, we need to get this done. He's very brash, and he doesn't just follow the rules entirely. But there's not really that many different characters.
I mean, I liked because you had the female scientist, the one who was like fresh out of university and stuff like that. She was really good. I kind of liked that you kind of have a lot of like faceless characters where they're just like personality, and there's not a lot of like development to them or anything.
Yeah, there's really no development or arcs.
No, of course not.
Really, no.
Most Godzilla movies it's like human parts, and then it's parts where the humans are going, look over there, it's Godzilla, and then miles away from the humans or any like collateral like human interaction at all, there's Godzilla like destroying buildings.
But this, like, right from the beginning, like the opening shot is just like water that cuts to people under a tunnel in the water, and then the thing starts crashing. It's a great opening.
Yeah,
great opening. Like right from the beginning, Godzilla is fucking with people. He's just everything he does. He's just big twat.
So here's one reason why I appreciate this movie so much, and I think it's a great direction for the franchise, and probably this is why it's my number one favorite at this point. So it has a lot of the same notes of the original, and it's
especially musically.
Well, okay, yeah. The original, there's two things that were prompting the production of this movie. The first one is every time the U.S. attempts to make a Godzilla movie, Toho is like, okay, there's an audience for this. We'll try, making our own again.
I think the first one, though, the first American one was just so bad that Toho, it was more like, no, let's show you how it's done. I think Toho was kind of happy with 2014 because it's very respectful. I mean, I know people hate the human element, but I think in terms of Godzilla, very respectful to the character.
Yeah. And then the other one was you have two major catastrophes inspiring the storylines for both the original and Shin Godzilla. So the original was inspired by obviously the atomic bombs dropped on Japan, and kind of like that fear of like nuclear fallout and like things that could happen to the environment and stuff like that, and major destruction happening to highly populated cities. In this one, it was directly influenced by the I think it was 2011 earthquake and subsequent tsunami and subsequent nuclear disaster that happened at Fukushima. And I got the joke right away. There was a lot of Japanese dissatisfaction with actions taken by the government, specifically with delays in release of information, delays on trying to decide how to take proper action with this and whatnot, specifically relating to the nuclear disaster. And I got the joke right away that it was like every time they had to do something, it was like a different meeting. And luckily, it wasn't boring in the sense that it was like, this meeting led to this meeting led to this. It was very fast.
The first 15 minutes of them just going from board meeting to board meeting. Like,
yeah.
We have to now go to this room to talk about this meeting.
Exactly.
Like that was fun.
So it was Japanese culture like getting in the way of efficiency.
There was a moment later on where they acknowledged that.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah.
They're doing that for the first like 30 minutes of the movie, and then 30 minutes in, they acknowledge it, and other people are like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Like that's the joke." But then they keep doing it for the rest of the movie. I was like, "Oh, right, beating a dead horse here."
One thing I kind of liked was they make a more conceited effort to talk about, I guess, the biology of Godzilla, because we should talk about the different forms, because Godzilla is kind of a Pokemon in this movie. That first form,
like what?
What the fuck was that, man? Like,
so
whoever designed that needs a smack in the head.
Okay.
Those eyes. I'm like. People laughed in my screening. Like people laughed. I was like, I'm not sure if they meant it to be funny or not.
What was funny was Chris and I were probably the ones that were like most.
Not Mr. Mikono's fan.
Yeah. We were the ones that were most invested in the movie, and when that happened, I heard him just go, "What?"
The first form, which we'll put a picture of here. What is up with those googly eyes?
Number one, it's googly eyes, and then the neck has no support whatsoever. So the neck is just like.
One thing I like though to begin with, it's like though when it cuts to the water, like it's filled with blood. And
yeah.
Like, and you're like, what? But I like that when he comes out, like he has gills originally, and the close where like there's blood just pouring out of his gills.
Well, that was disgusting.
I loved it because it was great, and but like he learns to evolve, and there's a moment where like he pretty much has like the Godzilla type body, but he has no arms, just kind of stubs, and he's just kind of like crawling along the floor. And there's a moment where he kind of is able to perch himself up, and he kind of evolves a bit, which I thought that was a really good idea. Like I like that kind of progression of his designs. But again, I just think that first design was way too goofy.
So when he was standing up, that was one of my favorite shots in the movie, because essentially this like fish Godzilla thing is just like barreling through Tokyo, and he gets to like a very large like apartment building. And it cuts. There's a family inside, and they're all packing.
Like, come on, honey, we have to go.
We have to go. And then all of a sudden, the Godzilla like mounts it,
and then he just cuts back inside. And go.
Whoa! Well, it cuts to the very bottom of the building with like the pillars that are holding it up, and they just collapse under the weight. And then it cuts back into the apartment, and it's tipping over, and the family's just like, whoa!
What like it's and then Godzilla kind of just goes back into the water, and then it's pretty much just he comes out and he comes back in again. Then shit goes down. So that's the basic outline. So let's start with what did you really like about it?
I liked the tone the most. I thought the way that it was structured, where the majority of it's from the human perspective. Any interaction with Godzilla is from a human perspective, because like. In the older movies, you have, like, here's human stuff, and then here's Godzilla stuff. And then, like, it's Godzilla doing things, like, away from the humans, just, like, kind of walking menacingly. And then it's back to humans not caring about what Godzilla's doing at all. So every time Godzilla made a move that was, like, able to be, like, seen and whatnot by the humans, they were immediately, like, he was being treated like a natural disaster. Second, I know you said you didn't like the cinematography, but I liked most of it.
It was almost like they were going for, like, a handheld found footage style sometimes in the like, political stuff.
I don't. Not so much in the political stuff. More in the Godzilla shots.
They only did that though in the beginning, and they only really do like found footage, handheldy stuff in the beginning when all the civilians are like running away, like going into the subway. They kind of dropped that after that.
I like that, and then I like they had the one. It was a small touch, but I like the how they added the graphics that made it look like it was being filmed from my iPhone. I
Mm.
liked that.
That was cool.
Yeah, those angles I liked a lot, and then you kind of have unnecessary ones, like where it's like the phone.
See, I don't mind that. I thought mine is more like the lighting was very flat and boring, which I can maybe they were trying to make it more realistic to how it is to walk in an office.
Yeah.
But some of it I was just like, I like the look of the movie. I thought that.
Oh yeah, you get some really good shots of Japan, and like really just I think just the scenery altogether is just
there's some really amazing shots of Godzilla just walking. They go for a lot of really like low angles by his calf as he's just walking. Mm-hmm. They just look great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I like the fact that because sometimes when in the ones where it's just Godzilla, it can kind of get a bit like, okay, like what else is he gonna do?
Yeah.
I like how in this one there's a progression of his power.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say though the scene where he unleashes the atomic breath for the first time, fucking amazing.
Mwah.
And it's
not as good as 2014 though. I'll say that. Because that was a big thing.
I always was saying that I cheered.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm British. I don't do that shit in movies. But like I fucking cheered when the atomic breath came out the first time.
And then, I mean, I cried when he unhinged the jaw of the other one.
But I mean, I think the best thing about that in the cinema scenes video, they remove 5 scenes because of how awesome that moment is. I like that there's a progression of it. Like when he first opens his mouth and his mouth kind of becomes like the vampires in Blade 2. It kind of cuts.
It unhinges and then it splits into two
which. I like that. It was interesting.
It's okay.
It's another evolution of Godzilla. Like whatever, it works. It didn't take me out of the movie. I thought it was like whatever. But first it's just kind of like smoke, then just fire, then like a really like wide beam that becomes concentrated.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was really nice. I like that kind of.
And it's so concentrated that it's a laser beam. Like you have extended shots where it's just like it's cutting buildings in half.
Yeah, and like he does that the first time, but during the day, but when it's at night, and he destroys Tokyo, that was like one of the most amazingly beautiful scenes of just destruction I've ever seen. Because I will say though, at that point forward, that's when some of the CG gets really bad. Part of the reason you something you said earlier ago, we like got this kind of like a mindless creature. You could interpret that like Godzilla really. He's just walking. He doesn't actively start getting aggressive until he's attacked.
Yeah.
Because that when he gets bombed, he gets pissed. 'Cause that's when he just fucking obliterates Tokyo.
So he gets hit with these bombs and he like keels over and they're like it's working. We're gonna keep doing this. And then all of a sudden his spines light up, which is supposed to mean that he's going to use the atomic breath. And all of a sudden, these lasers start shooting up out of the spine.
Like a 1970s disco.
It's like it's Pink Floyd playing. And then it's just cutting these bombers just completely apart and obliterating them.
The first thing he does is he fires a laser and then just leans backwards.
Oh, that's right.
And then everything comes out the spikes, which... It worked fine in that scene in the darkness, but there's at the final confrontation takes place in broad daylight, and that CG is just not good.
Yeah.
There's a moment where they start dropping buildings on him, and I swear he clips through a building.
Oh, really?
Like a bad video game cutscene, he clips through
part
of a building. It's like, oh, okay.
That's fine.
That's fair. But in terms of what I didn't like, some of the CG was, again, even at its best, I don't think it looked as good as 2014, but I'm going to assume they had a much bigger budget. But some of the stuff although one thing I will give it over 2014, you see a lot of them in the day.
Yeah.
Which 2014, they would mask it in darkness and with smoke and rain to make it... It's pretty much just so that it would make it easier for them to do their job to make him more realistic. You very rarely see him in broad daylight, but you see a lot of him, a lot of good shots of Godzilla. You see him a fair amount. I was actually surprised how much you see him in the movie.
Yeah.
I was very happy with the amount of Godzilla. I will say, there's a moment after the first attack where he kind of just goes to sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
He just, yeah, well, no, not the first attack, the second one.
The first time he uses his, after he destroys Tokyo.
Yeah.
He just kind of he just kind of stands there asleep for like,
he's
for like 2 months.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Yeah. I will say, after that point, I would have trimmed some of the human stuff.
Yeah.
It gets a bit long when they keep going back and forth. I think there's this thing of like the Americans want to help just because they want to steal him, for scientific gain.
That was. Did you notice all of the like anti-American sentiments in the movie?
Oh, there was
just all these backhanded like insults.
There was this great bit where I was watching it. We were watching it last night. There's a moment where before they send in the bombers, where it goes like, "America's coming," like America's coming to bomb Godzilla. And this woman behind me just went, "Yeah."
Oh my god!
That was like the funniest thing. It's just like, yeah. I was expecting them to go for a sequel hook ending, like when he's frozen. There's a moment where like they reference, if he ever wakes up, they'll bomb Tokyo.
Really? You didn't think that the ending was a sequel hook?
No, I mean it is, but I was expecting like.
No, do you think that's the only thing that happened in the ending? Was they were like, if he ever wakes up, they're gonna bomb Tokyo?
No, but then they cut to him and like it cuts the shot of the going up his tail. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that you can see like skeletons in it.
No, those are offspring.
Was it offspring?
They have spines. Huh. Like they have his spines.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. I thought that's what I thought. I thought they were.
You. I have to. Watch out. I just assumed because they look like kind of humanish.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I thought they were just like human, like people he killed.
Yeah, you just like
But I was expecting because there's a moment where he's frozen, and it cuts to him and like part of his tail like moves like half. When he's like sleeping. So I thought they were gonna end like. He wakes up again, shit's gonna go down, cut to him, and he'd like crack ever so slightly to like, oh, shit's gonna happen again. Apparently though, I didn't stay for that. Apparently in the credits, apparently they play 3 pieces of classic music in the movie, and the last piece of music played is Mecha Godzilla's theme.
Huh.
So a lot of people are thinking if there's a sequel, they'll bring in Mecha Godzilla. But good movie. I can't wait for it to come out on DVD.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be out. Blu-ray. I'm sure it'll probably be out soon because the run was so short.
Yeah, and Funimation's pretty good at releases.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us on our first episode of Same Great Taste. We won't only be doing new releases on this. It's the thing we won't also just be doing movies with old releases or things like movies. Games, comic books, anything. Whenever everyone review anything, will be in it. So we're not really sure when episode 2 will be out. Probably in about 7 years, or what it will be about. But
that's being a little too hasty.
That's about 17 years.
Okay.
But So thanks for watching, and go fuck.